Right guys, here we are. We are reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming. I am glad that we've reached this far, mainly because this is the last review I need to do tonight, and then I can just relax and I don't need to review anymore because this is the most recent one that I've seen and I still need to see a few more, but Spider-Man Homecoming, let's get to it because Spider-Man is hands down my favourite superhero of all time. Has been since I was 7 years old, going to see Spider-Man 2, the second Tobey Maguire film, and there's a part of me that will always hold that film, Spider-Man 2, in my heart as my favourite live-action Spider-Man film. But there's a tie. It's tied for my favourite live-action Spider-Man film. Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man film overall. Like, absolutely. That just captured everything that Spider-Man is, not just as Peter Parker, but as an idea, as a symbol to fans and an ideal to strive towards. That is what Into the Spider-Verse is. But let's not talk about that right now. I'll review Into the Spider-Verse maybe sometime in the future, who knows. But in terms of live-action Spider-Man films, Homecoming is the best. It's tied with Spider-Man 2. They are both the best. But I'm not reviewing Spider-Man 2, maybe another time again. But no, Homecoming I think is the perfect Spider-Man film in terms of the version of Spider-Man they were trying to tell us in the MCU. This young teenage high school version that we've seen before. Like, we've seen it in the first Spider-Man film for Sam Raimi and the first Spider-Man film for Mark Webb. But this is the one that did the best sort of teenage, just getting started Spider-Man. And I love the fact they didn't do the fucking origin story again, because we've seen that origin story twice on the big screen and no one wanted to see it again. Like, people wanted to see Spider-Man in the MCU, but they didn't want to see that fucking origin story again. So they didn't show it to us. They just introduced him in Civil War, and they introduced him here. They just, dropped somewhere in the script, oh yeah, he was bitten by a spider, the spider's dead. But this felt like a different form of an origin story. This didn't feel like the origin of Peter's powers, but the origin of Peter learning how to become a hero in the MCU. I love the Spider-Man, Iron Man dynamic. It's very father and son, mentor-student. That obviously pays off further down the line, and even further down the line again, I believe will be paid off even more so. But, so that's great, and obviously Tom Holland is awesome. Like, I feel like he's the best Spider-Man overall, because while Tobey Maguire was obviously great, and Andrew Garfield, to his credit, was also great, I feel Tobey Maguire was an amazing Peter Parker. He was awesome. I mean, yes, he was the stereotypical nerd, but that's what Sam Raimi was giving to us at the time, and obviously it was 2002, we couldn't really complain. When a lot of the other comic book movies at that time were complete dog shit, so we weren't really going to complain about, how he was portraying Peter Parker as too much of a nerd. So obviously Peter is a nerd, but, yeah. But yeah, so like, he was perfect nerd Peter Parker, but he didn't have the sort of wisecracking comedic side as Spider-Man that we had become accustomed to the character having. Yeah, because like, if he had tried to do comedy, he'd have just come off as gimpy, like he did in Spider-Man 3. But, and then Andrew Garfield nailed the funny Spider-Man side of things, but he was always a bit too cool to be Peter Parker. Like, he was on a skateboard. Like, that, for me, that's far too cool to be a nerd. Like, I don't do that, and I'm a fucking nerd. Maybe that's just how I view things, but he just always felt a little bit too cool for Peter Parker. Great Spider-Man, but not the best Peter Parker. Tom Holland is the perfect Peter Parker and the perfect Spider-Man. And I love the youth that he shows here, like that sort of youth mentality of like, I need to prove myself, like, I don't think you'd have been able to do that with an older Spider-Man. So I think that's the genius of having such a young Spider-Man who can grow as the MCU goes forward into phase 4 or 5 or however long they want to keep Tom Holland under contract before obviously killing him off and bringing in Miles Morales at some point down the line. You know that's going to happen, guys. But yeah, so I love that. This has the Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, who just can't seem to get the fuck away from superheroes named after birds. He is amazing. Yeah, like, I'm gonna be honest, he is the best he's the best live action Spider-Man villain adaptation we've had since Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, who I still think is slightly better, but Vulture is still amazing here, and the scene where he discovers Peter's Spider-Man is so intense and so great, and he's a really good villain here. And you know, I know some people, there was a twist in regards to him and his connection to Peter, and I know some people weren't crazy about that, but I loved it. What else? Just checking the notes here. Yeah, so pretty much, you know, this was for me the perfect capturing of this young version of Peter Parker that we could possibly have gotten, you know? Like, the scenes here that just feel so fitting of the character, and it feels like they've just been ripped out of the comics. One scene in particular is the scene at the house party where Peter is just, you know, he's in the suit on the roof looking down into the party, and it's just this perfect summation of the Spider-Man, Peter Parker internal dilemma of, like, he's a kid and he should be doing this, but there's also a superhero and he wants to do that, and, you know, I just feel like that was great, and the whole story of Peter wanting to be an Avenger and then having to learn how to be a hero, like I've said, that's great, and just there's so much good fucking stuff in this movie, and I really, really like it. Like, this is a top 5 MCU film for me, guys. I am going to give it 10 out of 10, glowing review. So that's it for tonight. I will be back next time with my next review, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then we will only have 3 films left. Ooh. Okay, next time, bye.